And will he be able to get the better of Ernst Kirchmayr alongside him and make it 2 out of 2 this weekend? He'd be delighted to do that, that's for sure, as we make our way through the grid. And Ernst Kirchmayr and Roger Grols ahead of Fons Skeltermar and Claudio Schiavone. Here is Michael Simonchik then, the first of the AM drivers, then Axel Sartingen alongside, then it's Laurent Demers, Alex Fox and Matthias Moser. Our passion at last has been reignited here at Imola, as the Ferrari Challenge does take to the track somewhat later than expected in this COVID-19 affected world. And we are delighted that you're joining us here in Imola and hope that you are safe and well. Final preparations getting underway then for the 30-minute race to come as we look at the Iron Lynx liveried car of Claudio Schiavone. 5.5 minutes before the race gets underway, and Claudio, one of the really lovely guys in the paddock, and delighted to welcome him back to the Ferrari Challenge. He's been away for a couple of seasons perhaps, and there are just some indications of how much heritage there is for the prancing horse here at this Imola circuit where we are this weekend. And the cars lined up. It's perhaps a somewhat smaller Coppa Shell grid than you might expect, of course, all related to the pandemic. And there you can see what a brilliant bonnet that is of the car of Paolo Scudieri. Alongside me to summarize every element of the race, every centimetre of tarmac and every single piece of tyre rubber is Nico Spalek, and we'll be speaking to him in just a moment.
Ernst Kirchmayr. I'm coming from Austria. I'm driving for Byron Motorsport.
Race of this weekend, you catch the second place. Today you stay in pole position. In front of you, the last straight. What you feel in this moment?
To stay at pole is really a totally special feeling. But at the end of the day, it's important to stay at the podium in the middle. And so it's a hard work. And hopefully today I'm able to catch the victory.
Ernst Kirchmayr will want to take P1 if he possibly can, and he will be having his bottom metaphorically kicked for every lap by his team principal, Philip Barron. I think that's a fair assessment, isn't it, Nico Spalek?
Definitely. Philip himself, a very successful Ferrari Challenge racer, multiple champion here in this championship, and he has been giving Ernst the hurry up multiple times. Now, you need to know that as we go into a profile of another driver, it's coming up for you. Which is another Austrian. It's Michael Simonchik, who has put it on pole in the M class.
Yes, Mikhail Simonchik then. Very dramatic, those the driver profiles. I really like those. I wonder if they're going to do that for the presentation team. That will include Nico and me, or perhaps need a wider lens for me. Just saying. Right. The Hublot safety car and the driver of Hublot safety car is one, Mr. Beppe Schinetti, preparing to lead the cars away on their formation lap. And the mix of drivers we have, Coppa Shell drivers and also Coppa Shell AM drivers. Mikhail Simonchik is the best of the Shell AM drivers, as we see Axel Sardingen there, who will be going from P6 on the grid. He's fifth fastest of the Shell drivers. So they're all mixed up, and Fons Skeltermaier and Claudio Schiavone will be wanting to get rid of the two cars ahead of them, which are contained or driven by Roger Groels and Ernst Kirchmayr. Have no doubt of that. Paolo Scudieri we can see there in that 488. Of course, the Evo iteration of the 488 Challenge car for this season, which maintains our 7-race plan all the way through until the early stages of November. Quite a compressed calendar by dint of the pandemic. And Paolo Scudieri then, are we going to get a thumbs up? No. Yes. Thanks, Paolo. Glad you're listening to me. Right. The cars are just a minute away from being released. The Hublot safety car will be released first of all. Then it will be the turn of the cars, and it will be the responsibility of Ernst Kirchmayr and Roger Groels to control the pace of the rolling lap for the 30-minute race to come from our Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell cars. Temperature still glorious. Almost no high cloud at all. Perfect conditions for racing. And here's the grid in full. Ernst Kirchmayr, Roger Groels going from P1 and P2 on the grid. Then we find Fons Skeltermaier and Claudio Schiavone. It's a very interesting second row of the grid, in my opinion. Mikhail Simonchik, best of the AM drivers. He has Axel Sardingen alongside, ahead of Laurent Demers and Alex Fox, who go from P7 and P8. Then it's Matthias Moser and Corinna Gosner going from P9 and P10. Then Boris Gideon and Willem van der Vorm, P11 and P12. Giuseppe Romelli and Miroslav Weibo go from P13 and P14 on the grid, ahead of Werner Kenter and Paolo Scudieri. And we were on board the Hublot safety car ahead of this formation lap. Corinna Gosner, you will see in unfamiliar colours because yesterday, unfortunately, took the front end off of her car and therefore is in Brother David's car this afternoon. We're on board with Fons Skeltermaier, Netherlands-based racer who has driven the 177 car to P3 in race 1, was on the podium yesterday, and we'll be hoping to do certainly the same, if not a bit better, today. So Fons Skeltermaier then in the 177 car. Always recognise that. It's got the shark's teeth, as indeed nearly everything of Fons's has. Entire motor racing apparel always contains the shark's teeth. Brilliant guy and a very, very strong racing driver. So Nico, weather conditions perfect, track conditions perfect, the best cars for us to go racing with, the 488 Challenge Evo cars. Everything's set for a stunner for 30 minutes.
What can I add to that statement? I mean, it's the last and fourth race of this weekend, the second for the Coppa Shell. And here you have the Driver Championship on screen for you. Those who have done well yesterday will try to replicate that. Those who have not done well yesterday will try to rectify that. So, with only a few meters to the finish line, Dave, take us through this race.
We're standing by then as the excitement begins to mount and the anticipation as well for the 30-minute Coppa Shell race to come. And must at this point say huge well done to everyone involved in the Ferrari Challenge for putting us in a position where we can go back racing in a safe as possible environment, because my goodness, haven't we missed motor racing. So really, really well done. We are grateful to you. Drivers' Championship points on screen for you in terms of the AMs. This Hublot safety car will take this final turn, the Rivazza 2, which is turn number 19, will indicate right and peel off into the pit lane that you can see to the left of your screen now. And then the responsibility of Kirchmayr and Groels to control the pace of the rolling lap All the cars are lined up pitch perfect then for this rolling lap. Now, this start-finish straight contains a couple of kinks as well. Turns number 19 and 20. It's not a start-finish straight. It's one of the peculiarities of this Imola circuit. And there you can see turn number 20 before you even reach the timing line. Lighting gantry to the left-hand side of your screen. As the cars approach that lighting gantry, the lights will go from red to green in the 30-minute race in Ferrari Challenge. Coppa Shell is on. Let's go racing. Green flag. Great start from Roger Groels. Brilliant start from Roger. Ernst Kirchmayr caught napping Roger Groels into the lead of the race. P2 for Ernst Kirchmayr. Von Skeltermaar and Claudio Schiavone are arguing over that P3 place, which at the moment is with Von Skeltermaar. Claudio Schiavone just dives out of the overtake opportunity. And discretion, the better part of valor, and holding on to P4. You can see just how desperately Ernst Kirchmayr is trying to come back at Roger Groels here, who got that start nailed absolutely perfectly. And that means that Ernst Kirchmayr has been demoted to P2, and he's under pressure from Von Skeltermaar, who's P3, was on the podium for P3 yesterday, wants to do better than that today. Roger is trying to stretch his legs. He's opened up a margin of a couple of tenths over Ernst Kirchmayr. Kirchmayr, of course, wants to attack Roger Groels, but also needs to defend from Von Skeltermaar as well and not put himself into a position where he could lose out on that P2 place. So as the cars settle down on this opening lap then, what a brilliant start from Roger Groels. And just a look there on the inside going into that turn. Cars screaming by. Mikael Simonchik ahead of Axel Sardingen. Then it's Laurent Demers. So in terms of Shell drivers, Groels, Kirchmayr, Skeltermaar. In terms of the AM drivers, Simonchik, Demers and Alex Fox. That's the way it looks. Heavy braking now. Claudio Schiavone pushing Von Skeltermaar in that P4 place for Schiavone at the moment. P3 for Von Skeltermaar. Oh, and that looks like Claudio Schiavone that's gone around there. So Claudio Schiavone then, don't know how that happened. Hopefully we'll get a replay of that, but he's dropping down the order now, having spun around. And Groels is really stretching his legs now over Ernst Kirchmayr. Groels opened up a gap of 1.0 seconds over Roger Groels, and Von Skeltermaar is in that P3 place. I can see some more dust kicked up there, whether someone has just run wide and kicked up the dust or whether there is another off, but certainly hope not. We saw Claudio Schiavone going around there, the 178 car of Axel Sardingen, the Lueg Sportivo driver. So at the time, Claudio Schiavone, of course, was pushing Von Skeltermaar, and they were arguing over that P3 place. And there is Von Skeltermaar in car number 177, who's running in P3. As Roger Groels and Ernst Kirchmayr both break away from that P3 place significantly. The white and purple car there of Mikael Simonchik being chased down by Axel Sardingen. Now, Simonchik will not be too worried about Sardingen behind him because he's in a different class. And what Sardingen is trying to do is get past Simonchik so that he can perhaps have a go at trying to catch up Von Skeltermaar, who is running in P3. Roger Groels then in the 188 car. Let's have a look at this then. So Schiavone, I think, just ran much too wide off the exit of the Ravazza 2 turn number 19. The whole back end of the car was in the gravel. That caused it to spin around, and he ends up now. He is still running, but running down there in P7 in class and P15 overall. So back to the race lead between Roger Groels and Ernst Kirchmayr. You can see that last time around, Kirchmayr was quicker than Groels. So Ernst Kirchmayr does mean business here in terms of trying to wrestle that lead away from Groels. Ernst puts in the fastest lap. Mikael Simonchik puts in the fastest lap for the AM drivers. And they are both breaking away significantly from the P3 driver, Von Skeltermaar. So the pace that both Groels and Kirchmayr have is being matched between the two of them, but is significantly better than anybody else. Corinna Gosner here in the unfamiliar livery, fighting there with the Werner Genter car. Race leader, Kirchmayr just dropping back a couple of car lengths now, and Sardingen has got past Mikhail Simonchik. Can see from our timing screen, so he'll be putting the chase on to von Skeltermar. So top 4 cars in the race are all from the Shell classification, and we've actually got 5 AM drivers running together, B1 through 5, with respect to that particular class of cars. Simonchik, Demers, Fox, Gideon, and then Moser. It's Moser that Corinna Gosner was arguing with, I think, in terms of track positions just a couple of shots ago. The order on the left-hand side of the screen in graphics for you, as another lap is put in the book, and Rolls just opens up a couple of tenths more than Kirchmayr, but just makes a mistake mid that, makes a very, very tiny error mid that chicane, and that's allowed Kirchmayr to get a little bit closer. Kirchmayr is certainly chasing him here. So Roger Grols, the Kroijmans automotive driver who was P1 yesterday, and Ernst Kirchmayr, the Baron Sport driver who was P2 yesterday. In fact, in terms of P1, 2 and 3, it's as we were yesterday. There is von Skeltermar, and there is the car of Claudio Schiavone. Miroslav Fajbo and Werner Genter side by side. P13 and P14 in the race overall. P7 and 8 in class, which Werner Genter ahead of Miroslav Fajbo, who was having a go, certainly, and I'm sure he will have another go. And the Claudio Schiavone car, which we saw spinning out of the Rivazza Turn 2, well, turn number 19, but it's Rivazza 2 is on the back of these two. Okay, Kirchmayr and Grols then for P1 and P2. They're as close as they have been, and von Skeltermar just beginning to get a little bit closer as well. And if Fons can get on the back of these, then it might be a three-way fight for the lead in the race. We saw yesterday, though, Nico, and I'm sure you have the statistics in front of you, that Roger Grols is not for making many mistakes, is he?
My statistic sheet says he made 0.32 mistakes. No, he was almost flawless throughout that race. And he hasn't really put a foot wrong today either, as we watch a replay of the start.
And this start was just anticipated perfectly by Roger Grols, who just got the edge over Ernst Kirchmayr. We can see we're on board with von Skeltermar, and you can see when the cars go that Ernst was just lagging a little bit in comparison to Roger Grols, and that was a good shot from being on board with von Skeltermar of how Roger Grols got that start nailed absolutely perfectly. So Grols from Kirchmayr from Skeltermar, and that's a great shame. It looks like that's a retirement from Claudio Schiavone, although they're working furiously on the car and Claudio remains inside the car. So hopefully the Nicky Hasler Iron Lynx team will be able to get Claudio back out again, and certainly that looks like the case as the car fired up again. Fired up. Good and proper is this man, who really has now broken away from Ernst Kirchmayr. Roger Grols then, as all of a sudden in the space almost of just a lap, has built a 2-second lead over Ernst Kirchmayr, and that means that Kirchmayr almost into the clutches of von Skeltermar running in P3 now, and then it's Axel Sardingen, the Lueg Sportivo driver, who is running in P4. In terms of the AMs, it is Simonchik and Laurent Demers and Alex Fox, P1, 2 and 3, with Boris Gideon in P4. So through the chicane they come then. There is the Ernst Kirchmayr car. think that was Claudio Schiavone coming back out onto the track, which is very good to see. And we're about a third of the race duration done already. Where has the time gone? 20.5 minutes remaining on the clock for this Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell race. We are live from Imola at the start of our 2020 season. And whichever way you look, there are fights going on in this Coppa Shell race. This is, that was Matthias Moser and Willem van der Vorm. We're having a fight there in P10 and P11, but it is P5 and P6 within class. So P10 and 11 in the race overall, but P5 and P6 within their class. And it's quite a tight battle there. The car that's right behind Willem van der Vorm is that of Paolo Scudieri, who is not involved in the same class. Three beautiful red 488 Challenge Evo cars in a row. Moser has the Corinna Gosler car up ahead. So the sound of the 488 Challengers as they run downhill now underneath the bridge, heading towards the Ravazza turns, where heavy braking is a prerequisite. And there you can see the unfamiliar colours of Corinna Gosler. Who has pleasingly got past Boris Gideon. Almost academic, because Boris Gideon is in a different class, and Boris doing a good thing there in terms of just letting Corinna go, not getting involved in a fight there, because it'd be completely and totally academic. Next in the target sights of Corinna Gosler is the car of Alex Fox, the multicolored 139 car that you can see just ahead of the red and gold machine of Corinna Gosler. Corinna means business here, and quite a bit of curb taken there by Alex Fox, which allows Corinna Gosler just to look at the inside here. Racing room is left wisely by Alex Fox, and Corinna Gosler ticks another box and moves up the order. So the Coppa Shell AM standings, as you can see, Simonchik, Laurent Demouz and Alex Fox. And it's Boris Gideon, Matthias Moser and Willem van der Vorm. So Corinna Gosler on something of a charge here, and what must be remembered, Nico, is of course that Corinna Gosler is in what is a relatively unfamiliar car, because she binned her car yesterday.
Very nicely put. Yeah, she had made significant contact with the barriers coming out of the Acqua Minerale, and that meant that her car, original car, is sitting in the paddock with a sheet over it that will not race again this weekend for sure. And yeah, so she has to get used to that slightly different machine, but she's doing well. Maybe she had a little bit of an issue during qualifying. She didn't qualify as high up as she usually does, but now she's making up for that and advancing through the ranks, and is already up into P7 overall.
Yeah, good showing from Corinna Gosler. The Goslers have not had a lot of luck this weekend. They're deserving of some, because Thomas Gosler, her father, made contact with the barriers and actually rolled his car and wasn't able to take the start. So best wishes to Corinna in terms of her quest at the moment. As you say, P7 overall. She's actually P5 within class. So Simonchik, Laurent Demouz, then it's Alex Fox and Boris Gideon and Matthias Moser and Willem van der Vorm. So this battle for P3, which is continuing, and Boris Gideon and he's got Matthias Moser for company now. Slightly different lines taken there by each of the drivers. Very good to see. Very few tenths between the four of them. A four-way fight going on here. And there the 182 car of Willem van der Vorm. Pleased to welcome Willem into the Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell. The 159 car of Matthias Moser. Climbing uphill now, this four-way battle. Simonchik and Laurent Demouz relatively up the road in P1 and P2 within class. As as are Roger Groels and Ernst Kirschmeyer. And von Skeltermar is P3 in terms of the Shell drivers. And it's Alex Fox at the moment is P3 in terms of the AMs, but it's this P3 fight that we are watching. So Alex Fox then doing a good job at the moment in terms of holding everyone off. The FF, oh, and there's a car gone round, and it is Corinna Gosner who has just dipped into the gravel, I assume. And that's enough just to unsettle a car. That's a great shame, and I feel really sorry for Corinna and for the Gosner family who've had a torrid time of it this weekend. I was looking at the screen and out of the window at the same time. Nico, I don't know if you were looking out of the other window and whether you could see Corinna actually getting loose into that gravel.
No, not quite. Also saw her dropping down the timing screen before we saw her on the picture, but wasn't quite able to make out where and how she lost control of the car there. Now it's going to be interesting to see. She did set a reasonable first sector, but we need to see if that car is damaged or if she will be able to regain her race pace or not.
Well, going to be a big ask. Here comes the replay then. But it's not necessarily the Corinna Gosner incident. It is the four-way fight that's going on for this P3 in terms of the AMs, which we are watching intently at the moment. Love those shots. Absolutely brilliant. Great shot there of the 182 car of Willem van der Vorm. Here's our race leader overall, Roger Groels then. And the gap between Roger Groels and Ernst Kirschmeyer is 1.9, as near as makes no difference. So Groels, with everything seemingly under control, he's got 13.5 minutes remaining in terms of race duration. Could end up being a minute more than that, of course, depending upon when he crosses the timing line to start the final lap. Here's the order: Groels, Kirschmeyer, Skeltermar, then it's Sardingen, Scudieri, and Corinna Gosner. Claudio Schiavone, regrettably, is in the pit lane and presumably will be taking no further part in the race. Great shame. Good to have Claudio back in the Ferrari Challenge. There is Ernst Kirschmeyer then in the 109 car. Still within shouting distance of Roger Groels, but Roger has built up a reasonable gap of comfort of 1.4 seconds between the two. And there's von Skeltermar, who's very nearly 6 seconds ahead of Axel Sardingen, out on his own in P3. So it's almost a photocopy carbon of the result from yesterday, if everything should stay this way. On board with von Skeltermar, who drives for the Kessel racing team. Love these onboard shots of the driver hard at work inside that 488 Challenge Evo car. This is the really, really heavy braking section, which you can get so easily wrong, but this corner is critical, because if you just drop one wheel into that gravel on the right-hand side of the car, as we saw with Corinna Gosner, causes real problems indeed. But Fons did it absolutely perfectly and maintains his P3 position untroubled by anybody, and is heading up towards the Variante Tamburello. So a different shot now. This is Mikhail Simonchik. Across the start-finish straight. The Variante Tamburello, turns 2, 3 and 4. The 101 car of Paolo Scudieri. Alex Fox coming under continuing pressure here. In the 103 car is Boris Gideon, who really is pushing Alex Fox for all he's worth. Fair play to Boris Gideon. Remember having a great chat with Boris Gideon in a press conference last year. Racecraft has really, really come on, doing a very, very good job indeed. Of course, would like to be in that P3 position rather than in P4 within class, which is where he is currently. Live gap between the two of them, 4/10. That's all. That's what 4/10 looks like. I have to say, I think Ernst Kirchmayr is getting closer to Roger Groels now as well, because that gap came down to 1.2 seconds. So we'll see when they cross the timing line now. Well, not now, but now, and see where we're at. 1.270. So it has come down, as you can see, over the last 3 laps. Kirchmayr was quicker on lap 9 and lap 10. Lost out a bit on lap 11, but whether Roger Groels is just managing this gap perfectly as we start the final 10 minutes of this Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell race. The top 3 in each class then, it's Groels, Kirchmayr, Skeltermar in terms of the Shell drivers, and for the AM drivers, it's Simonchik, Demers and Alex Fox. Alex Fox in his own very real battle with Boris Gideon and Matthias Moser and Willem van der Vorm for that protection of the final podium place, P3. This fight really does continue. So Alex Fox, who's been able to show a clean pair of heels to Boris Gideon, but of course Boris Gideon has also got Matthias Moser for company and knows that if he tries just a little bit too hard to get by Alex Fox, he could leave himself very vulnerable to Matthias Moser in that awful middle ground position where you're both hunting and being hunted at the same time. It all plays into the hands just a little bit of Alex Fox. Laurent Demers is within a couple of seconds of Michael Simonchik, who's leading the race in terms of the AMs. And here's some super slow-mos, and in replay it's Roger Groels, who really is pinpoint accurate through these chicanes. Doesn't take too much curb, and therefore the front of the car looks absolutely untouched, doesn't it? And proves that he's super smooth and very quick in being super smooth as well. Here is the race-leading car live. Oh, as around again goes Corinna Gössner in that 173 car. Not been a great day in the office for the Gössner family. Just carrying a little bit too much speed, and the back end of the car gets loose. And good control from Corinna, and also making sure that not causing a problem to any other driver. Good avoidance by those that were following the 173 car of Corinna Gössner. Climbing up the hill now. Our race leader, Roger Groels, and P2 driver Ernst Kirchmayr. Ernst remaining within striking distance just in case something should happen to Roger Groels, of course. Very sensible thing to do. Always putting yourself in a position to be able to take advantage. You don't know what's going to happen until the checkered flag flies. And here is Michael Simonchik. Laurent Demers just crosses the crest, as you can see, in that P2 place. Good to see Laurent on the podium. So Baron Motorsport with a P2 in the Shell drivers and a P1 in the AM drivers at the moment. As we reach the final 6.5 minutes of this race. For my money, Nico, this has been a good showing from Laurent Demers.
Yeah, definitely. He was very much invisible yesterday. We finished a respectable P5, but we didn't really see a lot of him because he wasn't involved in any battles. And now he would like to get involved in a certain battle for the win. But if P2 is where he will end up, he will not be totally disheartened by that. I think he can go home happy after a P2, and there is a lot of season remaining after this one.
Well, that's a very good point. Very good point. The championship seldom are won in the first round. From here, not much rest time for the drivers or engineers because we head off to Barcelona in less than a couple of weeks for round 2 of the Circuit de Catalunya. love these super slow-mo replays then. Concerning the Mikhail Simonchik Baron Motorsport car. So I have to say, that's one of my favourite liveries. The treatment of the purple with the white looks really, really good. When you've got a blank canvas like a 488 Challenge Evo car from Ferrari, it's, well, only fitting that the livery should be appropriately lovely. And that one of the ones that is really striking for me. Still not sure about the matte black of the Roger Grohl's car, but it is growing on me. And tell you what, growing in stature here is Boris Gideon, I believe, because he is closer now. Oh, as a round has gone, the 150 car of Werner Genter. But pleasingly, he manages to get it going without causing any problems to anybody else. Well done, good save there, Werner. The MOL Sportwagen Hanover driver. So, where was I? Yes, the gap between Alex Fox and Boris Gideon appears to have come down significantly. And that was Werner going around, seemingly with no provocation from anybody else. Here comes the three-point turn, executed perfectly, didn't cause anybody any problems. This is the battle that I was talking about, because I think Boris Gideon is closer to Alex Fox. There you can see confirmation of that, because Boris Gideon has put in a 149.236 versus the 149 plus for Alex Fox. So it's all very well being as quick or quicker than the car in front of you. You've got to find a way by, and that isn't easy. But sure enough, Boris Gideon does mean business here. Almost welded to the back of the 488 Challenge car of Alex Fox. So as they climb uphill now, where will the pounce come, if indeed a pounce is going to come? Running out of laps to be able to do so, Boris, so 3.5 minutes left probably means we're going to get a couple of laps in, dependent upon when our race leaders cross the timing line, I would suggest, before the checkered flag flies. Over the curbs, got to be neat and tidy wherever possible to try and prevent an attack. But as they run downhill now, I wonder whether now, Boris Gideon, it's at this part where you have to try and set up a move to make an overtake through the Variante Tamburello. You'll think I'm talking absolute bonkers, but it's true. Because if you get the exits absolutely perfectly around the Rivazza turn, it allows you potentially just to get a little bit of a toe off the car in front of you through turns 1, or through turns 19 and 20, which are little kinks, but don't think he's quite close enough, because it's now that he needs to dive to the inside to show his face to the inside of Alex Fox. Well, he certainly showed his face, but he wasn't close enough to be able to do it. Might just get another couple of laps in, perhaps. What have we got? 2 minutes left on the clock. This is a brilliant fight for this final podium place in terms of the AM drivers. Brilliant driving from Alex Fox as well, and of course you can just see the red car of Matthias Moser, who's just waiting to pounce in case they all go horribly wrong. And oh, not quite got the momentum to get alongside Alex Fox. Boris Gideon really trying hard here. Some brilliant and very fair racing between both of them. So we're going to have the remainder of this lap plus one more, I'm sure of it now. And what can Boris Gideon do? As I've said, yeah, it's all very well being as quick or even quicker still than the car in front of you, but you've got to try and find a way by. We have seen some hairy overtake maneuvers in various places. Some have been successful, some haven't, as we do start the final lap now, because our race leaders have crossed the timing line. So it's really now or never for Boris Gideon. And again, he needs to be really tight through these Rivazza turns to the back end of the Alex Fox car to have any hope. This time, surely he's going to have to try a move. He flashes his lights, try and break the concentration of Alex Fox ahead of him. through this kink and heading towards Tamburello now. I think Alex Fox was wise to the fact that Boris would have a go at the inside and made the car sit right in the middle of the track, as indeed is his right to do so. Roger Grols, 3 seconds over Ernst Kirchmayr, is on his final lap, and what a fantastic weekend it will be for him, for the Race Art Kroijmans team and driver if it stays this way. But he's slowing, and Kirchmayr has gone by. Drama, high drama. Grols, perhaps with an intermittent problem with the car. On the final lap, Ernst Kirchmayr has gone through. There goes von Skeltermar. Is Axel Sardingen going to be able to get by as well? So Kirchmayr, just when he thought he'd got no chance, is now in the lead of this race. The question is whether Grols will be able to get a podium out of this, or whether Sardingen is going to be able to go by him as well. P1 goes the way of Ernst Kirchmayr. P2 goes to von Skeltermar. Keep the camera in this position so we can see who is it going to be that comes round that kink to face the checkered flag. There is Roger Grols. Is that Axel Sardingen? Yes, it is. And Sardingen, therefore, is going to take P3. So Grols misses out on a podium. Crosses the line now. Wow. Gifted opportunity to Ernst Kirchmayr there. Michael Simonchik takes a P1 in the AMS ahead of Laurent Demers and Alex Fox. So just to reconfirm, the top three in the shell category, Ernst Kirchmayr, von Skeltermar and Axel Sardingen. Top three in terms of AMS, Michael Simonchik, Laurent Demers and Alex Fox. Nico, it looked to me like something went wrong with the car because he slowed, didn't he?
He very much did so, yes. It kind of reminded me of Fabian Woband yesterday, who suffered a similar fate also on the final lap and nursed the car home, but heartbreak for him. And I think Ernst Kirchmayr is maybe the driver who starts from pole and finishes the race with the least mileage of lead laps in between, because he was relegated to P2 immediately and only made up for back into P1 on the very final meters. I mean, well done for him to staying there and seizing the opportunity, but obviously heartbreak for Roger Grols. That must hurt.
Yes, he will be bitterly disappointed. He looked a shoe in, didn't he, for 2 P1s across the weekend, and to actually end up P4, he'll be bitterly disappointed. There is the car that has come to a rest now. And this is the point where the car started slowing. And you could see Ernst Kirchmayr really closing in. And Roger Grols, there was absolutely defenseless. Nothing he could do to try and prevent Ernst Kirchmayr going through. And you know what? Ernst will feel for him as well, because, and there you can see the disappointment with the team. Also, the Kroijmans Automotive team, they will feel the pain as much as the driver. Von Skeltermar then is elevated to P2 as a consequence, and Axel Sardingen is elevated to P3 as a consequence of that as well. So this was what von Skeltermar came and saw and thought, right, it is going to be a P2 place rather than a P3, and he will take that, which means that from a point situation, it's going to be blooming good going into Barcelona for the next round. So, Kirchmayr, Skeltermar, Sardingen, and then in the AMS, it's Simonchik, Laurent Demers, and Alex Fox, P1, 2, and 3. And brilliant driving from Alex Fox, who held off Boris Gideon for virtually the entire race. Very good driving. Philip Barron will be pretty happy with Ernst now. He'll probably still get told off for not securing P1 right at the start from pole position, but there we see the Werner Genzer car. Here's von Skeltermar. And the drivers will all be heading up to the podium in due course. Here's Axel Sardingen then. Getting his first podium because he took P4 yesterday. Here comes confirmation of the top three in each class then. Ernst Kirchmayr, von Skeltermar and Axel Sardingen in terms of the Shell drivers. And for the AM drivers, Mikael Simoncic, Laurent Demers and Alex Fox. So race 2 concludes here at Imola. 2 podiums to come, though, for both the Shell drivers and also for the Shell AM drivers. All the drama right at the very end of the race. And the biggest drama of all for Roger Groels, the Race Art Kroijmans driver. Here's von Skelterma for Kessel. Almost there, he says. We can hear that. Almost there. So von Skelterma. Let's take a look at the highlights of that really rather dramatic race now. So as the cars were released, it was Roger Groels that got the better start off the line. Claudio Schiavone was already taking plenty of curve and then took a little bit too much curve and ended up going around and making contact with the barriers. Another one going around was Corinna Gosner, to be joined by Werner Genter as well. Brilliant driving from Alex Fox, who held off Boris Gideon. Roger Groels, who'd led the race right from the start. Some technical issue meant that right at the very end of the race, it was Ernst Kirchmayr that managed to go by first of all, and then von Skelterma as well, which changed the shape of the podium that we will see in due course. So there, the checkered flag. Ernst Kirchmayr, von Skelterma, Axel Sardingen in Shell drivers, and the AM drivers, it was Simoncic, Demers and Alex Fox. There, the race statistics, and we'll try and grab an interview with our race winners in due course. Top speed there from Boris Gideon, a 274.2 kilometers per hour. I love picking out these facts. And well, Nico alongside me is, you can probably hear the laptop tapping away as he's importing all of these into his database of statistics already.
As if I didn't have them already. 38 total overtakes as per that statistic. I think that's indicative of how good this race was.
The race second during the race, and in the end, the lucky goal for you. And now, first on the podium.
Absolutely, this was my goal. But it was a very hard, strong race, and I was second. I had really big luck at the end of the race. So thanks God, pole position, always the goal is to win, of course, but it was not easy.
Okay.
And that's typical of Ernst Kirchmayr. He's saying that, you know, it was luck. It was luck. He was just in the right place at the right time to be able... I mean, he had to make sure he was there and within striking distance. And, of course, he was.